Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Marie and I. Marie is my first author guest that I'm having on the Divorce Magazine. She's also a really huge contributor to the magazine, the Divorce Magazine. So if you want to know a little bit more about Marie and her book and the work that she's done, just visit us at thedivorcemagazine.co.uk and you will find a lot of information on there about Marie. My name is Soila. I'm the founder of the divorcemagazine.co.uk. And if you go on there, you'll find a lot of information, both legal and just inspirational, about well being and how to move on from your divorce. My background is in psychology, and I have worked mainly with children who have experienced trauma. Be it as direct victims or who have witnessed something traumatic in their life, including where divorce has happened. So today, yeah, as I said, we have Marie here with us, and I'll let her introduce herself, and then we'll take it from there. Hello.
Hi, Soila.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Abanga, and as I say, I'm a dynamic woman because oh, I've been through so much. I do so much, and I still look forward to doing so much. So, keeping the professional aside for the moment, I can say I'm a woman who's been through divorce twice, once as a kid, and then in my own case, and so that makes my story thrilling. And I recently published my book. Yeah, and that was a big project and everything, and I got it out in February, and yeah, it's still kind of making headlines both within my family and everything, and my friends and stuff, and I'm getting some positive reviews from readers, and I'm happy I did that, and I'm still kind of healing, but I'm happy that I'm helping other people too, especially through my various contributions on the Divorce magazine. So I thank you so much, Soila, for coming up with that.
Oh, most welcome. Thank you for choosing to share your story and your journey with us and the visitors to the Divorce Magazine. I still remember when you got in touch with me and the first post that you sent, and I remember reading it and thinking, what? It had so much information, and your journey, as you say, it has been um, very unconventional, really, because and you bear role in your book, and you talk about it also in your posts, that you post on there. So maybe where I would really like to start from, Marie, I read your book, and when I knew we were having this interview, I was wondering, oh goodness, what shall I ask her? Where shall I go with it? Because there's so much in there that anybody would like to really discover a little bit more about, what was going on at that time. So maybe where I will start from is I will start from the fact that, okay, you said that you've been through divorce twice, and one of your articles on the divorcemagazine.co.uk is actually about divorce and experiencing it twice. And you said as a kid, but I think maybe we should clarify that it's not that you were married as a child.
No.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how it's impacted you today? Yeah.
Wow. So, as a kid, and I don't know, but I will talk about as an African kid because that's what I am, right? That's what I was, and that's what I am, an African. So the relationship between my parents was one which is a little bit normal in quote and unquote in our African setting. One where the man keeps to his corner, the woman keeps to her corner, and then they meet maybe to make babies and to do whatever, but that was that. And we children, or I as a kid back then, that was in 79, the 80s, children were beginning to become a little bit more assertive than what they were when my mother was a kid, when children were supposed to just stay with their mother and keep quiet and everything. So I have always been this one who wants to know a lot of things, who wants to talk, who wants to play, who wants to. And it was very difficult not being able to either reach out to my mother or reach out to my father. And at the same time, my father kind of singled me out like, I was his favorite child,
Mm-hmm.
and so he kind of pampered me in his own way, which wasn't like I didn't feel it, but everybody kind of said, well, but for me it wasn't that way I wanted, so, or that I felt I needed. So it was difficult. And then they were fighting, and sometimes I was the pawn because either my father is pulling me one way
All
and
right.
trying to hurt my mother through me, or encouraging me to do something which she doesn't like, or
Mm-hmm.
she's beating me up because she knows that my father is going to be angry because she's beating me up.
All right.
And of course it got me heady, and so there's no communication. There
Yeah.
was nothing like this, and it was simply very difficult. And so
Okay.
when they got divorced,
Uh-huh.
because they had their own troubles, I, who had always been like in the middle of this whole thing, I was completely lost. I didn't understand what actually happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what I should do, and that
Yeah.
was that.
Okay. And then so as you grew and you got into your own relationship, how did that work?
I don't know. What can I
How
tell
did
you?
it
I didn't
affect
really.
you?
I never had an opportunity to talk about relationships with either my father or my mother, and I didn't really have friends with whom I would talk about relationships. I just wanted to find somebody who would maybe feel up, be both my father and be both a special friend and be both. So I can't say I knew what I was actually
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah. And then you got married. And
Wow.
one of your main um, posts on there is, my marriage, my refuge,
Mm.
and your vision of what marriage was. Can you tell us what it is how you ended up getting married? It was not really for love.
Yeah, yeah, because uh, I mean, growing up with all this trouble and being that kind of a difficult teen, as I can put it, and of my first, what can I say, not my first love, but one of those relationships I got into was with a priest. So that was
Yes.
taboo, terrible. And then just when I thought I should stop this whole thing, I got pregnant. And you can imagine what kind of a thing is that. So nobody could know. My mother wouldn't take that, and we had such a difficult relationship.
Yeah.
Hence, I mean, in addition to what we already had, I had this kid at home, and I was just from school. I didn't have an income and everything, and so it was terrible. So I
Yeah.
wanted to get married.
Yeah, I think you've skipped quite a bit there also, just from reading your post and your book as well.
Mm-hmm.
But before you got into a relationship with a priest,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And so the part that the pregnancy that you were carrying, was this from the priest?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, okay. All right. So
Well, he wasn't yet ordained at the time, but he was in seminary.
he was learning. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Yes, okay. To become a priest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And so you told your mom about this,
Mm-hmm.
the pregnancy and everything. And how did your mom take it?
Oh, I didn't even tell her at the time who it was because she would have just marched to the seminary and got this guy
Okay.
sacked from there.
Yeah.
So I just told her I was pregnant, and she didn't
Well,
take it well at all. Um,
can I
yeah,
ask how old you are then?
20,
Okay.
2003, 2002, no, 2002, 1979, 89, 10 years, 99, 20 years,
Okay.
2021, 22,
Okay.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
22, 23,
Okay. So now you had a boy.
yeah,
And was he sick? Did the priest, was he training to be a Catholic priest or?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
he was.
okay.
He had told me he was looking forward to leaving because it was difficult for him. They have their own issues, those
Yes,
people.
yes.
So it was difficult, and he said, I'm going to leave and stuff. And so that's why I stayed on with him. But then he told me finally, shortly before he was ordained a deacon, he said, no, I'm not leaving anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do if I leave. So that's when I decided to stop this relationship. And I was like, okay, you won't leave, then I'm sorry, I have to go. I mean,
Yes.
we've been on for like 2 years, and
All right.
you're not leaving, so I'm stopping. And then just the night we decided to stop, that's the night it
You
happened.
got pregnant. Okay. And then so now you have a boy,
Mm-hmm.
and your firstborn, his name is
Ale.
Allah. And so now you're getting into another relationship with this man who was going to become your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that happen? Because you in your book and in your blogs that you have put on the divorcemagazine.co.uk, you actually do say it was not for love, it was for
So,
something else. What was that something else?
yeah, well, I wanted a refuge. I wanted a place where I could like just feel safe and just feel home and just feel kind of starting with like and then
But
hoping that it grows into love.
yeah, what were you running away from? Because normally you go into a refuge when you're escaping something. What were you running away
Oh,
from?
the heat from home.
Uh-huh.
The heat from home, the stares from the public, the people are talking. I mean, when you're so much concerned about what people are saying,
All
it
right.
has an impact on you. And then
Okay.
you're not comfortable at home because you don't have no money, you don't have nothing, so you cannot say nothing, and you're just treated like whatever. So
Okay.
yeah.
So then you met this man,
hmm
and were you the one who asked him to marry you?
Yeah, kind of. I met him in December, and it's true that he also wanted to run away from his own
Oh,
family.
okay.
So funny.
They
And so
come
I was
together.
like, okay, no time to fool around here. I'm not in for dating. So if you're ready, let's get married. If you don't want to get married, then just let me go. And so probably he was like, "Oh, this is a pretty girl and everything. I think we can sort ourselves out. I think love can grow. I think she can be a good housewife.
Yeah.
He had his own things in his head. I don't know, but those were my own things in my own
In your
head,
head. Yeah.
and so it happened.
Okay, so then you got together and I mean, obviously we know the ending to that because you did get divorced. But before you got divorced, there was quite a journey in between the time you got married to the time you actually did leave eventually.
6 years.
Yeah. It was very compressed into 6 years. There was a lot that happened in 6 years then.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, because in my mind, I kept thinking it was longer than that. But in six
Oh
years,
no, no, no! It was 6 years.
you had two boys. You had two
hmm
boys, and you had
And I lost two.
and you lost two. You had miscarriages,
One
and
miscarriage, and then and then one died the day after I gave birth to
oh
her.
yes, yes, yeah, a girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and apart from so you had one miscarriage, you had one, death of
hmm
a child, you
hmm
had two boys, and in
hmm
between that there were you had quite a few affairs, so to
Yes.
speak. Yeah, and even in the on the website you talk a lot about the first time you actually embarked onto an affair. You had an affair. How did you move from being in that marriage with and then get into the affair itself, and how did that affect your actions later?
You know, that very first time, let me take it a little bit back. When I got married, the very first day we got married and we went back to our own town, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that this was a very big mistake I had made. For him, it was like, okay, I've married, I'm gone. So he left. And before leaving, his mother had come in, and sometimes mother-in-laws make things very difficult for people. And she was like, I didn't want this thing, and now I think you're not doing it right. You were not supposed to move into my son's house right now. Our tradition demands to stay with me, and blah 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 blah. And I'm not even sure you can cook what he needs to eat and everything. And so you can imagine it was from one abuse to the other. And
Okay.
so I was staying home because I was pregnant. Before we got married, I was already pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I got a flu or fever or whatever. He wasn't there. I went to self-medicate, and then I lost this baby.
Okay,
It was so fast.
we'll stop there and go into part two, Marie, if that's okay.
Okay, Soila.
All right, okay.